boys, back at it again today. Hopefully you guys had a chance to check out your homework last night, get that done, get that turned in. I'll be going over those in Mudge here today, but let's take a look at just one review problem from yesterday before we get started with today's lesson. So I want you guys to solve this compound inequality for me. We're going to go negative 74 is less than or equal to negative 9x plus 7 is less than or equal to 16. Now, if you're feeling confident with yesterday's lesson, this is a good test to make sure you guys are on the right page. So I'm going to have Mr. Z, or if you're at your home, go ahead and just pause the video and solve this compound inequality, and then resume the video and make sure you're on the right track. So from yesterday, we learned that we're still using inverse operations here. So we're going to start by subtracting 7 from all three sides. When I do that, negative 74 minus 7 is going to give me negative 81 is less than or equal to, inverses cancel, negative 9x is less than or equal to 16 minus 7 is 9. Now, using my inverse operations again, we're going to divide by negative 9 everywhere. That'll give me a positive 9. Remember, inequality symbols flip. Inverses cancel. Less than or equal to 9 divided by negative 9 is negative 1. So our final compound inequality is 9 is greater than or equal to x. Oh, here we go again, making a mistake already. Flip your inequality, is greater than or equal to negative 1. Number line, smaller number on the left, larger number on the right. Equal to is in both, so we're going to have closed dots. And this one, closed side is facing x, so to the left from 9. Open side facing x from negative 1, so to the right from there, we should have negative 1 and 9 connected in the middle. Quick review from yesterday. Now, hopefully you guys have out as well your notes for today. We are doing 5.5 absolute value equations. So, before we can even talk about absolute value equations, we have to understand what absolute value is. Hopefully you guys have heard this term before. A lot of times the common mistake that guys make is they think absolute value just turns everything positive. That's not necessarily true. Absolute value, okay, let's take absolute value of 5, for example. What absolute value means is it's finding the distance from 0 that a number or a value is. So the absolute value of 5 is really asking how far away from 0 on a number line is the number 5. Okay? Well, from 0 to 5 is 5 spaces, so the absolute value of 5, this number is 5 spots away from 0 on a number line. Same thing, absolute value of negative 5, it's asking how far away from 0 is negative 5. Well, negative 5 is also 5 spots away from 0. They're just in different directions from 0. So absolute value does not simply just turn a number from negative to positive. It's asking how far away from 0 is this value. So this is going to help us tremendously as we solve these equations, because let's look at number 1 here. It's saying the absolute value of what number is equal to 7. So it's asking what number is 7 spots away from 0 on a number line. Well, you can go 2 directions on a number line. We can go in the positive direction, or we can go in the negative direction. So in order to solve absolute value equations, we have to split it up to find the values going both directions. So when we solve absolute value problems, we're actually going to split this up into x is equal to 7 and x is equal to negative 7. Because if I go to the right 7 units from 0, I get 7. If I go to the left, I get negative 7. Pretty basic concept, but it's key, and you have to do it when solving absolute value equations. So, number 2. Now it's saying the absolute value of x minus 3 equals 8. So this value here, x minus 3, has to be 8 units away from 0. So when we split this up, we get x minus 3 equals 8. Okay, that's if we went to the right. But we also get x minus 3 equals negative 8, because 8 units from 0 to the left is negative 8. Now you guys have one-step equations. You guys have been solving these forever. Add 3, add 3. Your first solution is x equals 11. Add 3, add 3. Your second equation is x equals negative 5. So when solving absolute value equations, when we get down to the absolute value, we have to split it up and find the solution moving in both directions from 0. Why don't you guys go ahead and pause the video here and try number 3, and then we will come back together. I'll walk through 3, and then number 4 is a little bit more complex, so we'll walk through that one together too. So hopefully you had a chance to work on this one. We are going to split it up here because we have to find the distance going in both directions. So we have x minus 7 equals 9, and x minus 7 equals negative 9. When I add 7, my first solution is x equals 16. When I add 7, my second solution is x equals negative 2. Those are the two values that x can be to solve this equation. Now, let's take a look at number 4, because number 4 is going to get a little bit more complex. It's nothing new. You guys have done all this before. It just looks a little different to start. So you'll notice in examples 1, 2, and 3, all of these had nothing going on outside of your absolute value symbols. It was just we started with absolute value, we split it up, and we solved. We can't split it up to find the distance in both directions until we get rid of everything on the outside of the absolute value symbols. So we've got this minus 5 that we have to get rid of, and we've got this times 3 that we have to get rid of. Using our inverse operations and reverse order of operations, we're going to get rid of the 5 first. So we're going to go ahead and add 5 to both sides. That's going to give me 3 times the absolute value of 2x minus 7 equals 5 plus 4 is 9. Now I still can't split it up yet because I got to get rid of the 3 still. So we're going to divide both sides by 3. That's going to give me the absolute value of 2x minus 7 is equal to 9 divided by 3 is just 3. So now that we've gotten rid of everything on the outside of the absolute value, here is where we can split this up to find the value going in both directions. So I'm going to have 2x minus 7 equals 3. And I'm also going to have 2x minus 7 equals negative 3. Now when we go ahead and solve our two-step equations here, you guys have been solving these since August. Add 7. 2x equals 10. When I divide by 2, we get x equals 5 as our first solution. Then when I do it on the other side, go ahead and add 7. 2x equals 4. When I divide, x is equal to 2. And there are your two solutions for this compound or for this absolute value equation. So, only difference, guys, when you have operations going on outside of your absolute value symbols, you must get rid of those first before you split it up to find your two solutions. Now, why don't we pause it here? Why don't you guys try number 5, and we'll go from there. So pause it, try number 5, then we'll bring it back together and see where we're at. All right, so hopefully you had a chance to try number 5. Here we go. Add 5 to both sides. 4 times the absolute value of x plus 9 equals 24. Divide by 4 on both sides to get rid of this out here. Now I have the absolute value of x plus 9 is equal to 6. Here is where I can go ahead and split it up to find both values. X plus 9 equals 6. X plus 9 equals negative 6. When I subtract 9, My first value is x equals -3. When I subtract 9, my second value is x equals -15. All right, why don't we try number 6? Okay, for the rest of these guys, I'm just going to keep going. If you want to pause the video before each problem and try it on your own or try it with a partner, let's do it that way. So I'm going to run through these, pause the video whenever you feel like you need to do the problems, and then check back in. So let's go ahead and subtract 6 from both sides. Absolute value of 3x plus 5 is equal to -8. Now, I hope you didn't pause the video, actually, because here is something that is going to throw a loop into absolute value equations. Absolute value, we said, measures the distance away from 0. Okay? In your life, you have never made a measurement that has a negative distance. If you measure the distance between you and the person you're sitting next to, it can't be negative. It's going to be a positive value. If you measure the distance from where you're sitting to the nearest door in the room, the value cannot be negative. Negative can signal direction, okay, but here we're measuring distance or how far. So absolute value cannot be negative. Anytime you get rid of everything on the outside of your absolute value symbols and you get it equals to a negative number, there is no solution. Absolute value cannot be negative. Now, this is much different than having a negative value like we did in number 5. In number 5, when we split it up, it equaled a positive value. However, over here, when we went to split it up, it equaled a negative value. When you go to split it up, it cannot be negative. It is no solution. All right, now for the last couple. So let's go ahead and subtract 4 here. 2 times the absolute value of m minus 5 equals -2. Divide both sides by 2. And the absolute value of m minus 5 is equal to -1. Absolute value equals -1. Can't happen. No solution. And last one. Let's go ahead and add 7 to both sides. -3 times the absolute value of n plus 2 equals -3. When I divide both sides by -3, absolute value of n plus 2 equals 1. Now I can split it up. N plus 2 equals 1. N plus 2 equals -1. Subtract 2 from both sides. N equals -1. Subtract 2 from both sides. N equals -3 are your two solutions. And that is it for today. Fellas, please make sure you check Mudge for your homework assignment. Once again, turn in your notes with your homework, PDF upload to Mudge, and we will be back at it again tomorrow. Have a good rest of the day, fellas. I will talk to you again tomorrow. Please email me if you have any questions or concerns.